Hi angels! So for this video I decided that I was going to make a video about my spirituality and my spiritual journey. First of all, I decided to come outside because I've been thinking about how I want to film a video outside because right now it's not too bright and it's a nice time of day and I feel so comfy and at home when I'm outside surrounded by so much greenery and life. I feel very grounded when I'm outside and present in Earth's beauty. But yeah, I think this is a good environment to film something like this. But I decided that I wanted to make a video about my spiritual journey and why I am the way that I am. Yeah, so I had this idea for a while now to start a tarot channel. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought about the different ways that I could bring other elements into it, not just straight tarot. I've always been into astrology, so I knew that that was something that I wanted to incorporate into it, but I thought about the larger scale and how I could bring my spiritual practice and my spirituality into it as a whole, and shed some light on some things and, you know, be of guidance to people in any way that I possibly can, because to me that's what spirituality is about. It's about connecting with others and sharing your gifts and spreading love and positivity and wisdom and connecting with the earth, treating others kindly, treating the earth kindly. Spirituality is about so many things, and that's why I love it. It's so malleable and it's so much about your individual connection with it. Your individual connection with the divine, and you can find that individual connection with the divine through so many different ways, through so many different channels of discovery. So I thought I would talk about my spiritual journey and how I got to where I am. It's gonna get pretty personal, but I think this is important information that might help some of you because some of you may have had similar journeys. So here we go. So as a kid, I was raised in a fairly religious household. I was raised under Catholicism. I'm not going to get into how I feel about the religion because I don't think that's important. I think that the important thing is that many people find and discover their spirituality in so many ways, but for me, I just over the years realized that that wasn't my home, that wasn't my place, that wasn't where I was going to discover myself and my spirituality. So I did all the things that are traditions and milestones in that faith, in that religion, but stereotypically when I went to college is when I started to discover my individuality, who I am as a person, and I really started to explore and dive into alternatives. Let's call it that. So I began to explore astrology first because I remember in high school I was very much into it. I didn't know a ton about it, but I liked the fun pop culture aspect of it, where it was like reading your horoscopes and identifying with certain aspects of your sun sign and all that kind of stuff. The very surface level of it. But when I went to college, I started to get more into it because it was interesting to me and I felt like there was more to it than what most people knew it as. So I started to go a little deeper and I liked what I was finding. I discovered what a birth chart is, which kind of opened my mind up almost immediately. It blew me away that there was so much more than just your sun sign. I thought it was really interesting that there was all of these little aspects and planets and the position of where they were in the sky. One article I was reading described it as a snapshot of the sky the moment you were born, which I thought was really cool. And I also found it really interesting when I read descriptions of it, like a lot of people have this impression that, you know, there's 12 personalities because there's 12 signs in the zodiac and blah blah blah. But your birth chart is so complex and there's so many aspects that make up who you are because people are really complex. And I really like that part because it's true. I think that people are very complex and there's a lot to explore, and there's no such thing as to the same people. Even with twins, when you're born minutes apart, things can be different. And I thought that was really interesting. The more that I dug through the internet about astrology, I soon discovered tarot reading and the divinity of reading oracle cards. And I thought it was interesting because very early on I discovered the history of tarot and how it's an Old English card game. And I thought that was interesting because I'm a history buff, and learning about the origins of practices and the origins of very ancient things that we still do today and things that we use today is so interesting to me, and that was one of them. The fact that tarot has been around for so many hundreds of years and, you know, adapted into so many different things and used in so many ways by so many different groups of people and so many different cultures is so interesting to me. An important aspect I want to bring into this is that spirituality and tarot is really about individual interpretation. A thing that kept me from sharing my spirituality, sharing my knowledge and my gifts with others for a long time was this fear and insecurity of doing it the wrong way. But it took me a long time to discover and realize that there's no wrong way to feel and connect and interpret symbolism and messages. There are so many ways to do it. There are definitely foundations that we use for guidance and reference, which are very important, and they go back to the ancient roots of these practices. But the fact of the matter is that tarot and spirituality is so malleable, it's so interpretive, and that's the beauty of it. That's what really drew me in. You can see symbols all around, and if it resonates with you, if it speaks to you, if it connects wires in your brain to make sense of it in a way that makes sense to you, I think that's so beautiful. So back to tarot. The more that I dug into it, the more that I started watching tarot readers on YouTube. I really enjoyed certain tarot readers because of their charisma and their energy and the way that they communicated messages and the way that they interpreted messages and symbols. The more that I watched these videos, the more I realized that I was really studying this and beginning to learn a lot and starting to really understand it and taking more of an interest in starting it myself. And then by miracle, I took it as a huge sign, and I thank this person to this day. One of my closest friends gifted me a deck of tarot cards for my 21st birthday, and it was one of the best gifts I've ever received because it was like this person saw my interest and they saw the potential that I had to explore it, and they gave me that gift as a tool to continue exploring that and to dive even deeper into my spirituality. And it just felt like such a blessing, and I felt so seen. And I thank that person to this day because they are so important to my spiritual journey because of that one small act that they did for me. So I began taking it upon myself to study the cards and begin doing readings for myself and other people. I really enjoyed interpreting messages and communicating them to people and watching them, you know, light up and be so intrigued by this. And just having someone resonate with a message at all felt really good that I could bring that kind of guidance to people. So now, fast forward to today, I decided to start a YouTube channel to bring tarot and astrology and spirituality into one big mix and bring guidance and light to people who are seeking answers of any kind. The thing about my spirituality is that I incorporate a lot of different aspects and elements into it. I feel that some of my earliest discoveries of my spirituality and my early exploration from it came from my connection to earth and nature. I remember when I was still a teenager and I was still discovering what it meant to me to be spiritual or religious and just trying to figure out what I felt, what I believed. I knew that I wasn't what I had been raised to be, but I wasn't sure yet what I was, and I hadn't identified or defined what it was that I wanted to express and what I felt I identified with. But I knew that I had this connection to earth that was very powerful, and it felt it was physical. There was a physical connection, but it felt like so much more than that. I felt transformed and transported completely when I was in natural settings. And I think a lot of people can attest to this. When you're in a place that's disconnected from all of the man-made structures that we exist under, all of the technologies, all of the developments that we live in, we realize that we live in such a manufactured and fabricated reality. We really live in such a comfortable environment. I will say that I exist under and have only known Western society and modern development, so I must say that this is the context that I'm speaking from. I understand where I am and the privilege that I have to live in the type of environment that I do, and to be able to do this. But anyway, as I was saying, I realized that when I detached myself from these man-made structures and this fabricated reality that I lived my whole life under, I felt so much more free. I felt disconnected, but reconnected in a completely different way. I felt connected to the earth, and it felt so natural. It felt like the life that I live under most of the time is a different reality than the one where I go off and disconnect from all of that. I feel so much more in tune with the energies and the frequencies of other living things around me, with the animals around me, with the plant life and the greenery around me. This is really how I discovered my own spirituality. My first steps were when I was starting to make the connection between the divine and Mother Earth. I think that people can become so disillusioned by the realities that we live under. We spend so much of our day staring at screens and connecting with people through digital mediums and, existing surrounded by four walls that trap us in and breathing recycled air, and there's just so much that we can do to step outside, literally step outside, breathe fresh, real air, fucking hug a tree, put our feet to the grass. These simple things can feel so grounding, and they can make us feel so much more reconnected with the earth and with ourselves. It's really easy to get so lost in modern living that we disconnect from ourselves and our consciousness, and I think it's really important to do things that are grounding, that reconnect us with ourselves. Because you are yourself. You are your body, but you are your mind. You are your consciousness. And when you lose touch with those things, when you feel like a body more than a mind, there is a disconnect and there is suffering. When we learn to reconnect our body and mind through meditation, through spiritual practice, we can feel so much more whole and complete and connected with others. It makes things easier to connect with others. It makes things easier to connect with the earth. It makes things easier to tune in and see the patterns, see the energies moving all around us. And that's how I see a lot of things in this world. I see energy. I'm attracted and drawn to energy. I connect with people through energy. I gravitate towards certain things and decisions I make through the energy I feel. I've also thought a lot about how my spirituality is very modern in the way that I incorporate it into many areas of my life. My spiritual journey has been about learning how to incorporate that spiritual connection into other areas of my life to help those areas thrive. What I went to college for and what I'm pursuing to do for a career and the work that I want to do is very social work. It's not social work. I didn't mean to say that. It's not social work. It's a very social-oriented work environment. Very much of what I do is about connecting with others to do business. It's about knowing people. It's about using your strengths and their strengths to connect and then complete a project or reach a goal together. And you can say that about a lot of different businesses and industries, but the work that I do is very much about knowing how to connect with others to reach a common goal, to collaborate to make a final product. One of my daily goals in my career is to use my spirituality and incorporate that into my career so that I can be a stronger businesswoman, so that I can use my social skills to move myself forward and make more connections and make business deals. I feel that one of the most important real-life applications spirituality has given me is my self-awareness. I think that personally and professionally, self-awareness is one of the most important skills to have as a human being. I think that self-awareness and emotional intelligence go hand in hand, and there's a lot of research that has shown that emotional intelligence is a really important quality that employers look for in candidates. I also think that emotional intelligence is a really important skill to develop and constantly work on and hone in on, so that you can be a more productive worker, so you can be a better friend, a better partner, a better family member, a better caretaker. I think that emotional intelligence and self-awareness are really important to the self and growing as a person. Everyone is on their own personal journey, and for me, spirituality has helped me so much on my personal journey to become the best version of myself. Spirituality has brought in this sense of self-awareness that has helped me highlight what my strengths are so that I can bring them to the forefront and use them to my advantage. And it has helped me highlight what my weaknesses are and what things that I could improve on to become a better person in general. Specifically, when I discovered a birth chart, it was really interesting to read about all of the different placements and what pros and cons each of those placements have and what they really mean. When I read more and more about what my strengths were, what my weaknesses were, I really started to think about the areas of my life that felt imbalanced and the things that I've always struggled with and the qualities about myself that I've maybe tried to hide or didn't necessarily like about myself. But I think there is nothing greater than having the strength and courage and awareness to say, I know who I am, good and bad. I know this is what I'm good at, and I know this is what I'm not good at. I know this is a good quality that I have, and I know this is a bad quality that I'm working on. I think that's really powerful, and it's also really, really admirable. I think it brings so much character to a person, and it can make you more likable. Being likable isn't about having all the best qualities. It's about being aware enough to know what your best and worst qualities are. Having the honesty to look inside yourself and know what needs improvement so that you can be a better person to help others and yourself is attractive, it's admirable, and it's really important to your own growth as a person. And so spirituality and tarot have helped me understand myself better. It has helped me connect with others better. It has helped me improve what I know I need to work on. It has improved what I didn't know I needed to work on. Astrology and tarot have also helped me connect with others in the way that there is a whole community of spiritual people who identify with spirituality as a way of life and a lifestyle that they kind of use as a guidance to help them navigate through the ups and downs of life. Discovering a bunch of different tarot readers on YouTube and feeling really connected to all those people through this practice was really beautiful, especially because as a younger person I struggled to connect with people because I felt very different. I always felt like it was more important to be myself and find people who were like myself than it was to struggle to fit in with people but feel like you had to change in order to fit in with those people. As much as it was a struggle to feel lonely and like I did not have people who understood me or were like me or shared the same interests and ideas and beliefs as me, I was much more comfortable with the idea that I would eventually find people who really understood me and connected with me on deeper levels. While they may be fewer in number, I've really come to value deeper connections over the more surface level ones. And I think that astrology and tarot and spirituality have really helped me connect with people on that level, because it's this basis of understanding and openness to learn and grow and get to know people that I really admire in the people who are drawn to things like this. Lastly, I just want to discuss that in the journey of life, in the journey of growing up and discovering yourself and growing as a person and really getting comfortable with who you are and living in your own skin, I felt that my spirituality has been such a huge aspect of who I am, and it has become such a big part of who I am, that I have become more confident and sure of who I am because of it. There's a lot of different parts of me that make up who I am. I consider myself this thing, and I do this for work, and I love this about these types of people, and I listen to this kind of music, and I like to do this as a hobby, and all of these different aspects make up who I am. But spirituality is such a big part of that, and because of it, I've grown so much more confident and sure of myself and who I am, and proud of who I am, and proud to share my beliefs, and proud to be who I am around other people, not afraid of being judged or afraid of what people will think of my beliefs, afraid of what people will think of my hobbies. I've just come to not care about that anymore because I know that the people that I'm truly meant to connect with will understand and be open to learning about it, just as I am when I'm meeting new people. When I meet new people, I want to be open to understanding and learning about who they are. And if we can connect on that basic level, then a connection can thrive from there. But navigating life can become so much easier when you have a strong sense of self and you know what to stand for and what you believe in. I think one of the most important parts of growing up is discovering who you are and really solidifying who you are as a person and what you believe. And to me, spirituality has been such a huge, important aspect of that. So, I think that's all I have to say about my spiritual journey. If any of this resonated with you, please leave comments down below. Tell me about your spiritual journey, if you connected with any of this, if any of this story was similar to yours. I'm interested to know. I hope you all find yourselves and you're proud of who you are and you continue to discover who you want to be. I hope this helped you at all in any way. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.